The secret to consistency that no one talks about. So, the other day, I got a question on one of my videos, and it's one that has been a reoccurring thing. And this guy's all in, so I was like, I want to help him out. It's what I'm out here for. I want to answer questions, and I want to give you the tools. So I'm going to be doing a consistency series here. So, as I said yesterday, I think it'll probably end up being 6 or 7 videos. But the secret on this one that is so counterintuitive, that messes with people's heads, and yet, I consistently find that if you can wrap your head around it, if you can, commit to it, suddenly consistency becomes a hell of a lot fucking easier. And you ready for it? Here it is. Blow your mind. The consistency secret to break the game, to make you the most consistent person ever, is to never miss. I know, right? Fucking mind-blowing. But hear me out. There's actually some logic behind this. So let's take demanding greatness and my workout and how I do it. I work out every single day, no matter what. Christmas, my birthday, holidays, rain, hail or shine, I work out every single day. I do my workout, I do my weighted walk, I do my photos, I do all of it every single day. It doesn't matter. I never miss. It's a zero choice mentality, which is a different video again, but it falls under that category. And the reason why I do this is because it's easier. Here's the little nugget of truth that people don't talk about, that they don't want to bring up, that they don't want to mention. But it's actually fundamentally way easier to do it every single day with zero exception, no matter what. The reason being is because you remove the thought process. So I apply this methodology to a lot of things. It's like when people ask me what my thoughts are on if it fits your macros. I'm not a fan. I don't like it, and there are actually a multitude of reasons. But one of the biggest ones is that I think it creates decision fatigue. Because you have actually too many options, because you open yourself up to all these, I could have that, and I could have this. If I can fit it out, if I can break the macros down enough, I can have whatever the fuck I want. But within that scope, you then blow it because you've given yourself too many opportunities. You've given yourself too many options, and your brain actually has a finite amount of willpower and decisions that it can make. So by the time you get to the end of the day, usually that's when you fuck it up. So I like to make it that there is no choice. As I said, a zero choice mentality. You never miss. You don't give yourself the opportunity or the option to have other thought processes. And it removes a lot of the burden, because then you don't have to make a decision. You don't have to make a commitment. You don't have to actually think about it. You made that commitment once. You made that decision once. When your motivation was high, when you were feeling fucking amazing, you made that decision. You don't have to keep making that decision over and over and over and over again now. It's already done. It's already been decided. You know that today you have to do X. As I said, for me, I have to work out. I have to do my weighted walk. I have to do my daily photo. I have to drink 4 liters of water. I have to do my animal-based diet every single day. There's no thought process. It's just ingrained. And look, that becomes easier over time. But I actually legitimately believe this is part of the consistency hack. Part of it is that you give yourself the opportunity to opt out. You actually want to remove as many opportunities for you to not follow through on the thing you said you would. You want to remove as many chances for you to make the wrong decision. Because when you remove all the options, all that is left is following through. When there are no other options, you know that you're going to do it. It's that zero choice mentality. That decision has been made. Now you will follow through. And as I said, it's this massive paradigm shift that like, oh, I'm struggling with consistency. So the answer is more consistency? Well, yeah, actually. You need to remove the options on it. And the other point that I add on this is, so when you do something for 2 days in a row or miss a new habit for 2 days in a row, what you've actually started doing in your brain is rewiring it as a new habit. Look, you haven't solidified it, but your brain is drawn towards simpler, easier, more comfortable, not fucking with the status quo. So let's take, again, working out, which is where I think everything starts. I think all of these skills, everything that transpires, comes from the tools of working out. So let's start there. Most people will, let's be honest here, start really basic, and they might do 2 or 3 times a week. But how many times are you then not doing it? Let's say you go really gung-ho though, and you go 5. And for a lot of people, that's fucking crazy. And I will put in like a little caveat. You need to build workouts based on where you're currently at. Yes, you can jump to working out every single day, but those workouts need to be geared towards who you are at the moment. If you haven't gotten off the couch for 10 years, that workout might be going for a walk every single day. Let's not jump straight into, P90X or go into CrossFit or whatever the fuck your option is. Like, let's gear it to who you are and where you're at in life. But that aside, so let's say you jump to 5. That's pretty fucking good. But Saturday, Sunday, you take them off. By Monday, it's a fucking nightmare to start again. You're pushing that boulder back up the hill. You'd built up all this momentum, and then you stop and that boulder starts rolling back down the hill, and you've got to chase after it and start pushing it back up again. And then the next week happens, and then the next week happens. So every week you start Monday going, fuck, I hate this shit. God, this is hard. And you're not alone in that. I've owned my gym for over 13 years. I still see it. And I have this discussion with people. And the people who don't listen to me, the people who don't do things on the weekend, struggle. Monday is always a slog. Oh, Monday-itis. And even the ones who are more consistent than others still find Monday a really difficult decision. Because you've taken away the momentum. And we are trying to ingrain a new habit. We are trying to ingrain a new uncomfortable habit. Your brain is going to revert to the easiest option. It's going to revert back to old habits. And it's the classic saying, neurons that fire together wire together. So for the majority of your life, if this is something new to you, what have you been doing? Is it this new habit that you're trying to work out? Work out, whether it's business, exercise, nutrition, whatever the fuck it is. Is that who you are normally? Or are you trying to break that habit? Because now you've spent 2 days re-establishing that, I sit on my ass. I don't do these things. I don't have to follow those rules. They only apply Monday to Friday. You're training your brain that that's an acceptable option. Now you give yourself, again, the opt-out. You give yourself the option to make these choices that don't actually suit your consistency, that don't actually suit your follow-through. And this is where a lot of people fail. Like, let's look at diet culture, for example. How many people are great Monday to Friday afternoon? They're on point, they're doing it, they're following through. The weekend hits, they go out for beers, they have their cheat days, they have their refeed days, or whatever the fuck the answer is. And then they just keep going around in circles, and they're like, I don't understand why I'm not getting the results. Because the results happen in the extra mile. The results happen in that the extra follow through, that on the weekend is where you're resetting everything that you started. So if you remove the option to opt out, if you remove the opportunity to make the wrong decision the chance of you maintaining your consistency absolutely skyrockets. And as I said, it sounds counterintuitive, but I promise you, once you get into it, you'll find that it is actually on a psychological level, on the battle on the psychology, which, to be honest, is 99% of any change in your life, it is easier to do it every single day. As I said, because you remove the decision fatigue, you remove the opportunity to make the wrong decision. It just is. You don't have to think about it. And then people will start to associate it with you. My kids know that I work out every single day. My kids and my wife know that I go for a walk every day. All of my clients know that this is what I do every single day. We recently went away on a holiday. They know that I'm still doing that. And before people get into my comments about things and they're like, oh, you should spend time with your family. I did. I waited until everyone went to sleep. Sometimes you make tough decisions to maintain that consistency. Sometimes it's gonna fucking suck and you're gonna have to make really hard decisions about that. But that's a different podcast. That's about mental toughness. But if you build it in that you go, it happens no matter what, there's no room to negotiate with yourself. And as I said, I think that is probably the biggest key to building consistency, that you cannot allow wiggle room for negotiation. You cannot open it up for debate, negotiations, questions, any of that kind of stuff. It just is. It is a zero choice mentality. This is happening no matter what. I never miss. I do this every single day. And there's freedom in it. It's one of my favorite quotes from Jocko Willink, and he's, discipline is freedom. 100% it is. Discipline is freedom because it removes the thought processes. It removes the questions. You don't need to have this internal debate. You don't need to go, do I have enough willpower to do it? It just gets done. And the second you start to remove willpower and relying on willpower to do it, the better off you're going to be, the better your results are going to be, because you don't have the opportunity to negotiate. You don't have the opportunity to fuck it up. It's the same with, when you start eating better. We don't diet, we eat healthy. And they are fucking vastly different concepts. But again, a different story. But when you start eating healthy, you need to remove everything from your house. You need to get rid of the junk food. You need to get rid of the alcohol. You need to get rid of whatever vices you have in your house. Reason being is that if you don't have the option, it's a much bigger decision to do it. So if you go, oh, fuck me, I want, I don't know, whatever the fuck your vice is, chocolate, wine, whiskey, I don't know, whatever it is. If you then go, because it'll happen late at night, it always happens late at night. Again, decision fatigue, willpower is drained. It is a finite resource. I might have to make another one on about willpower and the finite resource, but it's a finite resource. But if you get to late at night and it's like 9 o'clock at night and you're like, man, I'm a craving, insert sedation thing. And you go, oh, but I'm gonna have to get dressed, I'm gonna have to get into my car, I'm gonna have to drive into town, I'm gonna have to purchase it, I'm gonna have to come home. That barrier to entry, that barrier to fuck everything up is so much greater that usually, to be honest, as long as it doesn't happen too frequently, if it's so great that you're willing to go do those things, I'm usually like, well, maybe you just should. Because that's a different concept. But you want to put in as many stopgaps as possible to prevent you from making those decisions. You want to make opting out of doing the work such a difficult decision that, well, you don't make it. You want to put up every possible obstacle. You want to put up every possible barrier in front of you to not do the work. So that it just makes it a no-brainer. Then you go, well, yeah, I'm going to get this shit done. because the barriers to not do it are so great. And that's how you build it in. As I said, you make it a zero choice. That you just know every day that you are getting that shit done. As I said, it's a paradigm shift, and you have to sit there and wrap your head around it. But once you remove the options, once you remove the debate, once you remove the choice around will I, won't I, do I feel like it, all that kind of stuff, you remove your feelings from the algorithm, the consequences, the discussion on the table. It's getting done. You don't need to check in. Am I tired? Do I feel good today? Do I have enough time? Is it really worth it? All that kind of stuff. No, the answer is just, yes, I am doing it. End of story. It makes it easier. It takes a lot of the burden off you, and it makes the process much, much simpler. So that's what I would do. That's how I would gear it. That's how I would frame it in your head, that you have made the decision, and you've made it once, and now the decision is made. You don't need to think about it again. You don't need to do it again. You don't need to question it again. It is just done. Every single day. And again, I'll make it into another video, but you need to accept that this isn't a short-term fix. You need to put into your head that this isn't something I am going to do for 30, 60, 90 days. This is who I am, and I do this every single day. Because the more you ingrain it and build it into, this is just who I am now, well, it also becomes easier again. Because part of the consistency issue is that you've built up this hype that you're like, I can suffer through this for X period of time, because at the end of it, I will just revert back to who I am. But when you shift it into going, this is who I am, I have no choice, I have made this decision, it gets done every single day, there is a very different mindset that comes with it. And now you show up and you're just like, this is who I am. I am the guy who gets this shit done. And suddenly you take pride in that, and you build it into your personality and who you are as a man. And you'll find that that consistency and that follow through becomes much, much greater. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives you an idea. And that's the beginning portion of demanding greatness. That you start to demand this greatness of yourself. That you go, I am this man. This happens every single day. Zero choice. Discipline is freedom. And I am that guy who gets that shit done. It builds into this consistency, and you'll find that everything in your life gets a hell of a lot better. But come back tomorrow, and I'll keep giving you the keys to consistency until we find that one that tickles your brain, that gives you that aha moment and shifts everything for you. I can't wait to see you then.